The door that changed everything. The first thing she noticed wasn't the fact that the man opening the door was shirtless. It was the silence behind him, the kind of silence that only exists in houses where too many rooms stay empty. Nadia Rahman stood frozen on the marble doorstep, clutching the food delivery bag tighter than necessary, her knuckles whitening under the cheap plastic handles. She had knocked expecting the usual rushed exchange. A distracted rich client, a mumbled thank you, maybe no tip. What she got instead was a moment that felt like stepping into someone else's life. The man in front of her was tall, broad-shouldered, clearly someone who belonged on magazine covers or corporate billboards. His dark hair was slightly messy, like he had just woken up or run his hands through it too many times. But it was his eyes that stopped her breath. They weren't arrogant. They weren't cold. They were tired. Not physically tired. Soul tired. And when his gaze dropped to the delivery bag, then to her uniform, then to the name badge clipped slightly crooked to her chest, something in his expression changed. Recognition. Confusion. And then, something softer. "Are you new?" he asked quietly. His voice was deep, calm, controlled, the voice of someone used to being listened to. Nadia swallowed. "Yes, sir. I started this week." She expected him to nod and take the food. Instead, he stepped back and opened the door wider. "Come inside," he said. She blinked. I'm not allowed to enter client homes." His jaw tightened slightly like he was fighting some internal debate. Then he noticed it, the rip on the sleeve of her uniform, the faded logo stitched unevenly, meaning it was secondhand. The tiny scar across her wrist, old but not forgotten.
Team, this is our moment.
And the way she stood like someone ready to apologize for existing. Something in his posture shifted instantly. "Then wait," he said gently.
Data confirms the projection.
Wait a second. He disappeared inside. Nadia stood there, confused, heart beating faster than it should for a simple delivery. This was the richest neighborhood in the city.
What are you doing?
People here barely made eye contact with delivery workers.
You shouldn't be
3
here.
seconds later, he returned, now wearing a simple black t-shirt. "I'm sorry," he said. No rich client had ever apologized to her before. Inside the house, the smell of fresh coffee mixed with something colder, loneliness. He took the bag carefully like it mattered. "Thank you, Nadia," he said, reading her badge. The way he said her name, properly, made her chest tighten unexpectedly. "You're welcome, sir." He frowned slightly. "It's Adam. Adam Karim." The name hit her like quiet thunder. Everyone knew that name. Tech billionaire. Self-made success story. The man who bought failing companies and turned them into global giants. The man rumored to be ruthless in business, but strangely private in life. She almost dropped the receipt tablet. He noticed. "You okay?" "Yes, sir. I mean, Adam." For a split second, the corner of his mouth lifted. Then his eyes moved past her shoulder, toward the street. And suddenly the warmth disappeared. 2 security SUVs slowed at the end of the driveway. Nadia didn't notice, but Adam did, and his voice dropped slightly. "Did anyone follow you here?" She blinked. "No, I don't think so." He studied her face carefully, like he was trying to measure honesty. Then he nodded slowly. "Good." He paid triple tip. She tried to protest. He didn't let her. Then, just before she turned to leave, he spoke again. "Hey." She looked back. "If anyone ever treats you like you don't matter." He paused, like choosing words carefully. "They're wrong." She didn't know why that almost made her cry. Outside the wind felt colder. But for the first time in months, Nadia didn't feel invisible. What she didn't know, what she couldn't know, was that inside the mansion, Adam Karim stood perfectly still for nearly 2 minutes after closing the door. Because he had recognized her surname. Rahman. The same surname as the woman who had once saved his life, 10 years ago, and disappeared before he could thank her. That night, Nadia returned to the tiny apartment she shared with her younger brother. The heater barely worked. The ceiling leaked when it rained. But it was home. Her brother Sammy looked up from homework. "Long day." She nodded. "Yeah." She almost told him. About the mansion. About the strange millionaire. About the way he looked at her like she was important. But she didn't. Because hope was dangerous. And she couldn't afford dangerous things. Across the city, Adam sat alone in his office, staring at an old photograph on his phone. A hospital hallway. A teenage girl standing beside him, holding his hand while he waited for surgery after a car accident. The girl had disappeared after making sure he was safe, but he never forgot her name. Aisha Rahman. He whispered it into the empty room. Aisha. Then he opened his laptop. and began searching employee databases across delivery companies. Not to stalk, not to control, but because something deep inside him said, this is not coincidence. Meanwhile, instant karma begins. Across town, Nadia's delivery manager laughed with two supervisors. She asked for schedule stability, he scoffed. Like she's important. They had cut her shifts in half. Without telling her. Because she looked poor and might scare premium clients. But what they didn't know was that tomorrow morning, Adam Kareem would request a full audit of the delivery contractor company after noticing damaged packaging and worker complaints. And when Adam Kareem audited something, careers ended, companies collapsed, and injustice rarely survived. The emotional beat. That night, Nadia sat by the window watching city lights flicker. She whispered softly, one day, things will change. She didn't know the change had already started. Closing hook. Across the city, Adam closed his laptop, picked up his car keys, and said quietly to himself, if she's connected to that family, I owe them everything. And tomorrow, he was going to find out the truth. The day they tried to break her. Nadia's phone buzzed at 6:12 a.m. She was already awake. Sleep had become a light, fragile thing. The kind that shattered every time bills flashed behind her eyelids or her brother coughed in the night from the cold. She sat up on the thin mattress, careful not to wake Sammy, and reached for the phone. Shift update flashed across the screen. Her stomach tightened before she even opened it. When she did, her breath caught. Her schedule had been cut again. Not one shift removed. Half her week erased. No explanation. No warning. Just a cold, automatic update like she was a machine that could be powered down whenever management felt like it. Nadia stared at the screen trying to do the math. Rent. Electricity. Sammy's school fees. Medicine for his chest. Her hands trembled. She texted her manager immediately. Nadia. Hi sir, my shifts were reduced again. Is there a mistake? I really need stable hours. The reply came fast. Too fast. Like he'd been waiting to shut her down. Manager, not a mistake. Premium clients complained. Your look isn't brand friendly. Don't argue or you'll lose the rest. Nadia's throat went dry. Your look. Not her work. Not her delivery times. Not her record, perfect, punctual, polite. Just her existence. Her face. Her skin. Her cheap uniform. She stared at the message until the words blurred. Then she quietly stood, walked to the sink, splashed water on her face, and whispered what she always whispered when the world tried to shrink her. Don't break. Don't break. Don't break. The contractor office sat above a noisy mini-mart, wedged between a phone repair shop and a closed cafe. The sign outside promised fast, reliable, premium service. But inside the air smelled like stale coffee and ego. Nadia climbed the stairs with her head high, though her heart was pounding hard enough to hurt. At the reception desk, a woman with polished nails looked Nadia up and down like Nadia was mud on a clean floor. You're not scheduled, she said, bored. I need to speak to Mr. Hamza, Nadia replied, steady. It's about my shifts. The receptionist smirked. Everyone wants to speak to Mr. Hamza when they want something. Nadia didn't flinch. I'm not here for something extra. I'm here for what I earned. The receptionist's smile froze. She picked up her phone and made a show of whispering into it, then pointed toward the corridor. Door on the left. Don't waste his time. Nadia walked down the corridor as if she belonged there, because she did. She knocked once. No answer. She knocked again, firmer. A sharp voice snapped from inside. Call me. Nadia stepped in. Mr. Hamza wasn't alone. Two supervisors lounged in chairs like they were watching a show. One of them, Faisal, was laughing at something on his phone. The other, Shahid, leaned back with his arms crossed, chewing gum with the confidence of someone who'd never worried about rent. Hamza sat behind a desk cluttered with invoices and snack wrappers. He didn't look up right away. Yeah, he said, still typing. Make it quick. Nadia took a breath. My shifts were cut again, she said. And I received a message saying it's because of my look. I want to understand what that means. That got their attention. Faisal looked up slowly like a predator hearing movement. Shahid let out a short laugh. Hamza leaned back and finally looked at her, eyes narrowed. It means what it means, he said. We have high-end clients. They expect professionalism. Nadia finished calm. I've had 0 late deliveries. 0 complaints on service.
The quarterly projections
I follow policy.
Yes, the growth
I'm
is
respectful.
promising. Exactly, we need
Hamza's
to leverage
mouth
this.
twitched.
Agreed? Let's discuss
Don't
the
act
next steps.
smart. Nadia's voice stayed quiet, but there was steel in it now. I'm not acting smart. I'm acting human. Faisal snorted. Human, sure, he said, glancing at Shahid. But not exactly presentable for rich neighborhoods. Nadia's heart pounded, but she refused to let it show. Presentable means what? She asked. Because my uniform is the one you issued. Hamza's face hardened. You want the truth? He snapped. Fine. Clients want a clean image. You look struggling. And it makes people uncomfortable. The room laughed. Nadia felt heat rush to her cheeks. Not embarrassment, not shame. Anger. The kind of anger that comes from being told you're a problem for simply being poor. She swallowed hard. So because I'm not wealthy looking, she said, you're punishing me? Hamza leaned forward with a nasty smile. I'm protecting the company. And if you don't like it, you can quit. The words hung in the air like a slap. Then Shahid spoke, slow and cruel. Or maybe you can beg for extra shifts the way the other girls do. Nadia's stomach turned. That wasn't just disrespect. That was a warning. A threat. A reminder of the kind of world they thought they ran. Nadia's voice shook slightly now, but she held her head high. I'm not begging, she said. I'm requesting fair treatment. Hamza slapped his palm on the desk. You're requesting trouble. Get out. Nadia turned to leave. And Faisal said loudly behind her. Don't forget to close the door on your way out. We don't want poverty air in here. The laughter was sharp. Nadia's fingers tightened around her phone. She walked out without saying another word.
How?
Not because she was weak. Because she knew something most people forgot. Sometimes the strongest move is walking away, until you return with proof. Outside the office, she stood on the stairs, breathing hard. Her eyes burned. But she didn't cry. Not here. Not in front of them. She walked down into the street, where life moved like it didn't care, and she sat on a cracked bench beside the mini-mart. Her phone buzzed again. Another message from Hamza. Manager, last warning. If you complain again, we'll blacklist you from every contractor in the city. Blacklist. That word was a cage. Nadia closed her eyes, trying to steady her breathing. Then Sammy's face flashed in her mind. His thin shoulders, his tired smile when he tried not to worry her. She couldn't afford to be blacklisted. She couldn't afford to lose. So she opened her phone camera. And quietly, she did something she'd never done before. She started recording. Not the past. Not their laughter. But her own voice, calm, clear, factual. She recorded the message on her screen. She recorded the office sign outside. She recorded her schedule cut. Then she whispered, if I disappear, if I lose everything, at least the truth will exist somewhere. Across the city, Adam's morning begins. Adam Karim's office was a different universe. Glass walls, clean light, silent efficiency. But Adam's mind was not on money. Not on markets. Not on profits. It was on one name. Rahman. His assistant, Layla, walked in holding a tablet. You asked for the contractor details? She said. Adam's eyes didn't lift from the folder in front of him. Yes. She hesitated. May I ask why? These are minor vendors. Adam finally looked up. And something in his gaze made the room feel colder. Because minor vendors can still ruin lives, he said. Layla swallowed. Yes, sir. He opened the report. Delivery contractor, Skydrop Services, third-party partner. Manager, Hamza Qureshi. Complaints, multiple internal flags about unfair scheduling, harassment, wage disputes, but never fully investigated. Adam's jaw tightened. You see, he said softly, mostly to himself, this is how evil survives. Layla's fingers hovered over the tablet. Sir, do you want to proceed with an audit request? Adam's voice was calm. Yes. He paused, then added, full audit. Surprise visit. Today. Layla blinked. Today. Adam stood. Today. Nadia's lowest moment, the elevator scene. Nadia returned home early. She walked into the apartment and found Sammy coughing hard, shoulders shaking. Fear shot through her instantly. Sammy, she rushed to him, rubbing his back. Breathe slowly. Look at me. He tried to smile, but it looked painful. I am okay, he lied. Nadia's eyes filled, but she didn't let the tears fall. She checked his forehead. Warm. Too warm. She reached for the medicine bottle and saw it. Almost empty. She'd planned to buy more after payday. But payday now had missing shifts. Her chest felt like it was folding in on itself. She stepped into the hallway outside, where Sammy couldn't hear her voice crack. She called the clinic. The receptionist's tone was bored. Consultation fee first. Nadia's throat tightened. How much? She heard the number and her stomach dropped. She stared at her wallet, then stared at the wall. And for the first time in a long time, Nadia's strength wavered. Not because she was weak, because she was tired of being strong alone. The twist, Adam sees the proof. At exactly 2:40 p.m., Nadia's phone buzzed. A notification. Unknown email received. Subject, we need to talk. Nadia frowned. She didn't remember giving her email to anyone. She opened it carefully. The email was short. This is Adam Karim. I believe your family once helped mine. I may be wrong, but I need to confirm something. Please meet me at the public cafe on Rania Street at 4 p.m. You will not be alone. Bring no fear. Nadia's hands went cold. Her mind scrambled. This is a scam. This is fake. This can't be real. But the email address was official. Verified. And her heart remembered those tired eyes at the door. She read it again. And again. Then she looked back into the apartment at Sammy, asleep on the couch, breathing shallow. She didn't have the luxury of ignoring miracles. She whispered, okay. And at 3:30 p.m., Nadia put on her cleanest clothes, fixed her hijab neatly, and walked out like she was stepping into a storm. Closing hook. At 3:55 p.m., Nadia pushed open the cafe door. And froze. Because sitting at the table wasn't just Adam Karim. It was Adam Karim, with a team of lawyers, and a woman holding a government audit badge. Adam stood the moment he saw her. And when his eyes landed on the ripped sleeve of her uniform peeking from her bag, his jaw tightened. Not in disgust. In fury. He stepped closer, voice low, controlled. Someone did this to you, he said. Nadia's lips parted, speechless. Adam's gaze turned cold. Tell me who. And at that exact moment, across town, Hamza Qureshi was laughing in his office, completely unaware that his entire world was about to collapse. The day the truth walked into the room, Nadia had never sat at a table like this before. Not because of the furniture. Not because of the place. But because of what it meant. Power. Real power. The cafe buzzed with quiet afternoon chatter, cups clinking, low music playing, but around their table, it felt like the air had thickened. Adam Karim didn't sit back casually like a billionaire used to controlling rooms. He sat forward. Focused. Alert. Like a man waiting for the truth to arrive. Across from him sat two lawyers in dark suits, laptops open. Next to them, a woman in her mid-40s with sharp eyes and a government audit badge clipped neatly to her blazer. Nadia hesitated near the table. Adam stood immediately. Not rushed. Not dramatic. Respectful. Nadia, he said quietly. Not Mississippi. Not delivery girl. Not worker. Just her name. It steadied something inside her. Please, he said gently, gesturing to the chair. Sit. She sat slowly, hands folded tightly in her lap. Adam studied her face for a moment, not in a way that felt invasive. More like someone trying to solve a puzzle that mattered deeply. I'm going to say something, he said calmly, and I need you to listen carefully before you react. Her heartbeat quickened. 10 years ago, he continued, I was in a hospital after a car accident. I needed emergency surgery. My parents were overseas. I was alone. Nadia's fingers tightened. There was a woman there, Adam said. She stayed. She spoke to doctors. She made sure I signed the correct forms. She sat with me when I was terrified. Nadia's breathing went shallow. She told the nurse her name was Aisha Rahman. The world seemed to tilt. That was my mother, Nadia whispered. Adam nodded slowly. I thought so. Nadia blinked rapidly. My mother never talked about it, she said. She just helped people. That was normal for her. Adam's jaw flexed slightly. She saved my life, he said quietly. Silence sat heavy at the table. Then Adam leaned back slightly and shifted into something different. Not emotional anymore. Professional. Dangerous. Now, he said, voice sharper, tell me what Skydrop Services is doing to you. Nadia hesitated. Not because she didn't want to speak. Because people like her didn't get believed. Not by people like him. But then she remembered the email. Bring no fear. She slowly pulled out her phone. I recorded some things, she said quietly. The lawyer beside Adam leaned forward. May we? She nodded. They watched the schedule cuts. They read the message.
Team, this is our
They
moment
listened to
to elevate
Nadia's
our
recorded
strategy.
voice
We must elevate our
explaining
execution.
everything,
By
calm and
integrating these
factual.
processes, we
The
achieve
government
sustainable
auditor's
growth.
expression hardened. Adam didn't speak. But the stillness in him was frightening. Not explosive anger. Controlled fury. The kind that ended careers quietly and permanently. When the video ended, Adam looked at the auditor. Is this enough for investigation? The auditor nodded once. More than enough. Nadia blinked. Investigation? She said softly. Adam turned back to her. Skydrop is a subcontractor under my logistics network, he said. If they're abusing workers, that becomes my responsibility. Her throat tightened. You didn't do this, she said. Adam's eyes darkened. But I allowed a system where it could happen. Across town, the audit begins. At exactly 5:10 p.m., 3 black cars pulled up outside Skydrop Services. Inside the office, Hamza was mid-laugh when the receptionist burst in. Sir, there are officials here and lawyers and... The door opened before she finished. The government auditor stepped in first. Then Adam Karim walked in behind her. The room froze. Hamza stood so fast his chair fell over. And Mr. Karim, he stammered. If we knew you were coming... Adam didn't respond. He just looked around the room. At the broken chairs. At the peeling walls. At the workers pretending not to listen. At the fear. Then he spoke. Continue working, he told the employees calmly. No one is losing their job today. Relief rippled through the room like a silent wave. Then he turned to Hamza. Your office. Hamza's face had gone pale. The confrontation. Inside the office the air felt suffocating. Hamza tried to smile. This must be a misunderstanding.
Likewise,
Adam placed Nadia's
Data
recorded
confirms the
video on the
projection.
desk and
Excellent.
pressed
Let's
play.
optimize. Initiating
The
phase
room
2.
filled with Hamza's own message. Your look isn't brand friendly. Hamza's smile died. He tried again. Sir, you know how clients are. Presentation matters? Adam's voice cut through like ice. Presentation does not include discrimination. Hamza's mouth opened. Closed. Sweat beaded at his temple. It was just business, he whispered. Adam leaned forward slightly. No, he said quietly. It was cowardice. Silence crushed the room. The auditor spoke next. Your company is under formal investigation for labor discrimination, harassment, and contract violations. Hamza's knees visibly weakened. You can't, he started. The lawyer interrupted. We already did. The instant karma moment. Outside, workers whispered as news spread. Faisal tried to slip out quietly. Security stopped him. Shahid stared at the floor, shaking. Inside, Hamza sat down heavily. My company will collapse, he said hoarsely. Adam's expression didn't change. Then you should have built it on something stronger than fear. Nadia's emotional turning point. Back at the cafe, Nadia sat alone for a moment after Adam left for the audit visit. She stared at her
Hang in
reflection
there.
in the
You're doing
window.
great.
For years,
Thanks.
she had felt
It's been a long
invisible,
night. Go home and
disposable,
rest.
replaceable. But today, someone had seen her. Not as charity, not as pity, as truth. Her phone buzzed. A message from Adam. It's done. No one will silence you again. Her eyes filled. But this time, they were tears of relief. The past fully connects. Another message came seconds later. Your mother once told me something. Nadia wiped her eyes and read. She said, if you ever become powerful, use it to protect people who don't have power yet. Nadia pressed her hand to her mouth. Her mother had died believing the world didn't remember her kindness. But it had. It had remembered. Through him. The new beginning hit. That evening, Adam returned to the cafe. He didn't sit across from Nadia this time. He sat beside her. Not above. Not below. Beside. I'd like to offer you something, he said carefully. She stiffened slightly. Not charity, he added immediately. A job. She blinked. At Karim Logistics, he said. Worker Relations Oversight Training Program. She stared at him. I don't have degrees like that, she whispered. Adam shook his head. I need people who understand what unfair treatment feels like. Silence. Then she asked the question that mattered most. Why me? Adam's answer was simple. Because you didn't beg. Closing hook. As night fell over the city, Skydrop Services sign was already being removed. Investigations were expanding. Workers were being interviewed. And in a quiet cafe corner, a delivery girl who had been told she wasn't brand friendly was being offered a future where she could protect others from ever hearing those words again. But Nadia didn't know yet that tomorrow, the story would explode into public news, and she would be forced to stand in front of cameras and tell the world the truth.